This is Erin and Erin's project of exploring the death penalty in Texas. We are going to understand the legal, social, and practical implications of the death penalty. And let's take a closer look at this controversial practice and its impacts.
First, I will talk about the legality of the death penalty in Texas. This has been a topic of debate for many years. Texas is known for being one of the most aggressive states in the United States when it comes to capital punishment. The state has carried out more executions than any other state in the country, with over 583 executions since 1982. The death penalty has a long history in Texas. The state's first execution took place in 1819 when a man named George Brown was hanged for piracy. The use of the death penalty in Texas continued throughout the 19th and early 20th centuries, with hangings being the most common method of execution. In 1923, the state of Texas began using the electric chair as its method of execution. From 1923 to 1964, 361 people were executed in Texas. In 1972, the U.S. Supreme Court declared the death penalty unconstitutional, and all executions in the United States were halted. However, in 1976, the Supreme Court ruled in Gregg v. Georgia that the death penalty was constitutional if specific procedures were followed. This decision allowed states to resume executions, and Texas resumed its use of the death penalty in 1982. The death penalty remains legal in Texas, and the state continues to be one of the most active in carrying out executions. According to the Death Penalty Information Center, Texas has executed 583 people since 1982, which is more than any other state in the United States. Texas has also faced controversy over its use of the death penalty. Critics argue that the state's criminal justice system is flawed and that there have been cases of wrongful convictions. The state has also faced criticism for its use of the death penalty against individuals with intellectual disabilities, juveniles, and individuals who are not provided adequate legal representation. The legal process for imposing the death penalty in Texas includes several stages. First, the defendant must be found guilty of a capital offense. If the defendant is found guilty, a separate punishment hearing is held to determine whether the defendant should receive the death penalty or life imprisonment. During the punishment hearing, the prosecution presents evidence of aggravating factors, and the defense presents evidence of mitigating factors. In conclusion, the legality of the death penalty in Texas remains a controversial issue, with supporters arguing that it serves as a deterrent to crime and provides justice for victims' families, while opponents argue that it is flawed and can lead to wrongful convictions. Despite the controversy, the death penalty remains legal in Texas, and the state continues to be one of the most active in carrying out executions.
Here I'm talking about the effectiveness of the death penalty as a deterrent. Studies on the deterrent effects of death penalty are mixed, with some showing no clear impact. Other factors like education and social programs, law enforcement strategies, and social economics can also play a role in crime prevention. One of the most commonly cited arguments in favor of the death penalty is that it serves as a powerful deterrent to crime. The logic behind the argument is that the fear of the ultimate punishment will deter people from committing capital offenses. However, there is little evidence to support this claim. Numerous studies have been conducted on the effectiveness of the death penalty as a deterrent, but the results have been inconclusive. Some studies have found a correlation between the use of death penalty and a reduction in murder rates, while others have found no reduction at all. And about the cost debate, it is a cost-effective alternative to life imprisonment. According to a report by the Dallas Morning News, the average cost of the death penalty trial in Texas is $2.3 million, compared to $700 million for a non-death penalty trial. The report also found that the average cost of housing an inmate on death row in Texas is 59,000 per year, compared to 22,000 for a general population inmate. And what is an alternative to the death penalty? Moving towards alternative to the death penalty that are more effective and cost efficient is a necessary step for criminal justice reform in Texas. One alternative to the death penalty is life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. This option ensures that the most dangerous criminals are removed from society, but avoids the risk of wrongful executions and the high costs associated with the death penalty. Another alternative is restorative justice, which focuses on repairing the harm caused by the crime rather than punishing the offender. This approach involves the offender taking responsibility for their actions, making amends to the victim and the community, and working to prevent future crimes. And in conclusion, the effectiveness of the death penalty as a deterrent in Texas remains controversial and with little conclusive evidence to support its use. And the high cost of the death penalty also raises questions about its sustainability as a form of punishment. As we look to the future, it is important to consider alternatives such as life imprisonment and restorative justice. Their families which can provide justice for victims and their families while avoiding the risks and costs associated with the death penalty.
Next, I will talk about the ethnic and socioeconomic disparities in death penalty sentencing. The death penalty is a highly debated issue in the criminal justice system, and the way it is applied can reveal disparities in society. In Texas, like in many other parts of the United States, there have been concerns raised about racial and socioeconomic disparities in death penalty sentencing. First is the ethnic or the racial disparities in death penalty sentencing. Texas has a long history of racial disparities in death penalty sentencing. According to the Death Penalty Information Center, since 1976, Texas has executed 583 people, 296 of whom were black. This represents over half of the total number of executions in the state. Research has shown that the race of the victim and the race of the defendant plays a significant role in the outcome of the death penalty cases in Texas. A study conducted by the University of Maryland found that from 1990 to 1999, the odds of a death sentence were 3.5 times higher when the victim was white compared to when the victim was black. Additionally, defendants who were black or Latino were more likely to receive the death penalty. Socioeconomic status can also play a role in death penalty sentencing in Texas. A report by the American Bar Association found that defendants who cannot afford their own attorney are more likely to be sentenced to death. This is because they are more likely to receive inadequate legal representation and are less likely to have access to resources that can mitigate their sentence. The same report also found that defendants who live in poverty or come from disadvantaged backgrounds are more likely to be sentenced to death than those who do not. This is due to a variety of factors, including a lack of access to education, healthcare, and other resources that could help them avoid involvement in the criminal justice system. The existence of ethnic and socioeconomic disparities in the death penalty system is a cause for concern and highlights the need for reform in the criminal justice system. Some steps that can be taken to address these disparities include: first, improving legal representation. Providing defendants with access to high-quality legal representation can help ensure that they receive fair and just trials, regardless of their socioeconomic status. Second is addressing implicit bias. Implicit bias can play a significant role in death penalty sentencing. Providing training and education to judges, attorneys, and other criminal justice professionals can help reduce the impact of implicit bias on. So, in conclusion, ethnic and socioeconomic disparities in death penalty sentencing in Texas highlight the need for reform in the criminal justice system. By providing defendants with access to high-quality legal representation, addressing implicit bias, and providing alternatives to the death penalty, we can work towards a more just and equitable system. It is important to continue to raise awareness about these issues and work towards solutions that can ensure that all individuals are treated equally under the law.
The death penalty is a controversial issue that affects not only the individuals involved but also their families. So we're talking about the impact of death penalty on families. In Texas, where the death penalty is legal, families of victims, defendants, and even the families of the executed can experience significant emotional and psychological trauma. For the victims' families, the emotional toll on families of victims is intense. While some may find comfort and closure in seeing the perpetrator punished, others may experience complex emotions related to the execution process. Some families of victims may feel pressure to attend the execution, while others may choose not to. Attending an execution can be traumatic and bring up feelings of guilt or shame. In some cases, the family may not even agree with the death penalty, but feel as if they must support it because it is what the criminal justice system has deemed appropriate. The second, for the defendant's family. Family of death row inmates may face stigma and judgment from society. They may also experience mental health issues related to their loved ones' impending execution. Moreover, the families of defendants may feel isolated and discriminated against, even if they was not involved in the crime. They may face harassment or discrimination in their communities, lose their jobs, and struggle to find support and resources. To solve the problem, we need some support and resource. Providing these for both victims and families and defendants' families can help alleviate some of the negative impact of the death penalty on individuals and communities. Organizations such as Murder Victim Families for Reconciliation offers a safe space for families of victims to connect, share their experiences, and advocate for restorative justice rather than punishment. The group also supports families of defendants and campaigns for abolishing the death penalty. Other resources include the Texas Defender Service, which provides legal representation and support to those facing the death penalty, and the National Alliance on Mental Illness, which offers mental health resources and support for families affected by the death penalty. In conclusion, the death penalty is a divisive issue with wide-ranging implications for individuals and communities. Understanding its legal and practical implications is vital for researchers, advocates, and policymakers. And for the way forward, as society evolves, there is a growing need for practical and effective alternative to the death penalty. Existing disparities in death penalty sentencing must be addressed, and resources must be strategically allocated towards more effective solutions.